Picture this. It's 3 a.m. You're staring at the ceiling. Your brain is running through every financial horror scenario it can conjure. Car breakdown, dead laptop, surprise medical bill, job loss. You're mentally calculating which disaster you could actually survive and which one would absolutely wreck you. Sound familiar? Good, because I want to talk about the one number that makes all of that stop. Most people assume that financial milestones are just arbitrary targets designed to make the rest of us feel behind. But there's actual psychology and real mathematics behind why certain dollar amounts create seismic shifts in your day-to-day life. And the first truly life-changing milestone isn't $100,000. It isn't even close. It's $10,000. Here's what living without it actually looks like. You're at the grocery store mentally doing calculus over whether the name brand cereal is worth the splurge. Your friends suggest dinner, and you invent an excuse because you can't admit that a $25 meal would throw your entire week off budget. This is the silent tax of being broke, not just financially, but mentally. Every single decision becomes a calculation. Every unexpected expense feels catastrophic. You're constantly playing defense, and you never get to play offense. That's what changes at $10,000, and the transformation is nothing like what you'd expect. It's not about buying things. It's about the way your brain rewires itself. The first shift is your relationship with risk. When your savings account reads zero, everything feels dangerous. Taking a new job, relocating, even booking a vacation becomes a source of dread because you know that one wrong step could crater you. But with $10,000 sitting in your account, those exact same decisions suddenly feel manageable. You're not going to quit your job tomorrow and become a professional dog photographer, but you might actually ask for the promotion you've been overthinking for 6 months. You might invest in a certification that could boost your earning potential. The safety net doesn't make you reckless. It gives you permission to think beyond survival. There's also something happening at a biological level here. Neuroscience research confirms that financial insecurity elevates cortisol, your body's primary stress hormone. Reaching $10,000 in savings doesn't just change your bank balance. It literally changes your body's chemical response to daily challenges. The check engine light that used to be a countdown to financial ruin becomes a mild annoyance you'll handle on Thursday. That shift from panic to inconvenience sounds small. It isn't. It ripples into every corner of your life. Your sleep, your focus at work, your patience with the people around you. Financial stress contaminates everything. Removing it frees up mental bandwidth you didn't even know you were burning. And here's the counterintuitive part. Most of the benefit doesn't come from spending the money. It comes from knowing it's there. This is what financial experts call the emergency fund effect, and it's probably the most underrated concept in personal finance. An emergency fund isn't really about emergencies. It's about the psychological insurance policy that lets you stop operating from fear. Most people who build up $10,000 never touch it for emergencies. Instead, they spend it on opportunities, education, side businesses, strategic moves that broke people simply can't afford to make. There's also a confidence factor that's nearly impossible to quantify, but impossible to ignore. When you have money in the bank, you carry yourself differently. You negotiate with more backbone. You're willing to walk away from bad deals because you're not desperate. This isn't motivation poster nonsense. It's behavioral economics in action. Confidence leads to better job offers. Better job offers lead to higher income. Higher income accelerates the next financial goal. It's a flywheel, and $10,000 is what gets it spinning. Now let's be honest about the hard part, getting there. The math isn't actually the obstacle. The identity is. Most people treat saving like a crash diet. They cut aggressively for 3 months, burn out completely, and snap back to their old patterns. The people who successfully hit $10,000 don't think of it as a sacrifice. They start thinking of themselves as someone who saves money. That identity shift changes every financial decision you make downstream. You notice expenses you never paid attention to before. You get creative about income. You start thinking in months and years instead of just making it to Friday. And the process gets easier as you go. Saving your first $1,000 is genuinely brutal. It takes willpower, lifestyle adjustment, and an uncomfortable amount of self-awareness. But the second $1,000 is noticeably less painful. By the time you're working toward your fifth or sixth, the habit is nearly automatic. The psychological momentum compounds just like money does. Let's talk practical math for a second. $10,000 covers the vast majority of financial emergencies that derail ordinary people. Car repairs typically run $500 to $3,000. Most medical urgent care visits fall well below $10,000. And job loss? That $10,000 buys you 3 to 6 months of breathing room, enough time to be selective about what comes next, instead of desperately accepting the first offer that comes through. The difference between being selective and being desperate in a job search is easily worth tens of thousands of dollars in long-term salary. But beyond protection, $10,000 creates options that literally don't exist at zero. A certification program that costs $2,000 upfront and bumps your salary by $10,000 per year? Mathematically obvious move, but only if you have the capital to make it. A small investment opportunity in a friend's startup? Impossible without savings. Even the psychological willingness to explore these options requires a financial foundation. Studies show that people with emergency funds sleep measurably better than those without. And I mean that literally, not metaphorically. Financial Financial stress is one of the leading contributors to insomnia, and eliminating it has immediate physiological benefits. Your relationships improve because you're less irritable, less anxious, and more emotionally present. Money arguments are cited as one of the leading causes of divorce. Remove the constant financial stress, and you give your relationships a fighting chance. Here's something nobody puts in the personal finance articles: decision fatigue. Every day, people living paycheck to paycheck make dozens of micro-financial decisions. Brand versus generic, eat out versus pack lunch, premium versus standard. Each one burns mental energy. By the end of the day, you're exhausted from 100 small survival calculations you didn't even consciously notice. With $10,000 saved, 90% of those decisions become irrelevant. You choose the cereal you actually like. You don't agonize over a $12 lunch. That recaptured mental energy doesn't disappear. It gets redirected toward bigger decisions, better thinking, and more ambitious goals. I know someone who said their first grocery trip after hitting $10,000 made them emotional. Not because they went crazy buying expensive things, but because for the first time, they were choosing what they wanted to eat instead of what they could afford to eat. Most people don't realize that freedom is missing until they experience it. And here's something that flips conventional wisdom on its head. The person with $10,000 saved is often closer to financial independence than someone who earns twice as much but saves nothing. Because wealth isn't about income, it's about the gap between income and spending, and the discipline to keep that gap open. You almost certainly know someone pulling six figures who's perpetually broke, and probably someone earning $40,000 who has quietly accumulated real savings. The difference isn't luck or income, it's mindset, and reaching $10,000 is the crash course that builds it. You learn to distinguish wants from needs without feeling deprived. You develop the single most valuable financial skill there is, the ability to delay gratification, and you prove to yourself that you can hit a financial target, which creates momentum for every goal that comes after it. If the number feels impossible right now, start embarrassingly small. $50 a month, $25. The goal in the beginning isn't the amount, it's installing the habit. The average household quietly spends thousands of dollars a year on forgettable convenience purchases and impulse buys. Redirecting even a fraction of that into savings consistently will get you to $10,000 faster than you think. The transformation that comes with your first $10,000 isn't really about the money, it's about becoming the kind of person who has money saved. That identity shift, the way it rewires how you think, how you carry yourself, how you make decisions, creates ripple effects that reach into parts of your life you'd never expect. The $10,000 isn't the destination, it's the first proof that you can get somewhere.